My name is Joyce Zook, and my co-presenter today is Peggy Shippen. We have been members of American Association of University Women, AAUW for short, for many years. In preparation for Salem Branch's centennial celebration in 2022, we realized the value of projects, programs, events through the years that support our mission. Each of the 21 branches in Oregon have similar stories to tell about their journeys to equity for women and girls. Throughout Salem Branch's history, you will see how important the relationships have been with our college-university partner members, Chemeketa Community College and Willamette University. For some of you listeners, this presentation may be a walk down memory lane. For others, it can provide a vision of how AAUW empowers women and girls and how engaging with community allows greater impact to address inequities, injustices, and threats to our health and well-being in this time of climate change. So let's begin. The mission of AAUW is to advance equity for women and girls through research, education, and advocacy. The vision is equity for all. Values include nonpartisanship, fact-based information, and commitment to integrity, inclusion, and intersectionality. How did we begin AAUW? The national organization of AAUW was founded in 1881 in Boston, Massachusetts. At that time, a group of college graduates sought to create practical and professional opportunities for educated women, which included establishing fellowships for graduate studies and working to dismantle the belief that higher education was harmful to women's health.
In 1920, AAUW raised funds for the purchase of 1 gram of radium for Marie Curie's research, which led her to become the first woman to receive the Nobel Prize, not only for physics but also chemistry. In 1920, it is reported that 1 gram of radium would have cost about $150,000. Today, it would be over $2 million. AAUW continues to support women from all over the world seeking higher education. Their Grants and Fellowships program has over $5 million distributed each year, and it is the largest endowment fund for this purpose in the United States. Their Grants and Fellowships program has over $5 million distributed each year, and it is the largest endowment fund for this purpose in the United States.
Well, how was Salem born? On October 21st, 1922, at Willamette University in Lausanne Residence Hall, Frances Richards, who was the Dean of Women at that time, formed the Salem branch of AAUW. This photo is of Salem members Marion Churchill, Ray Everett, and Meredith Sheehy. They are 3 of the 9 life members of Salem branch who were interviewed several years ago with the help of Capital Community Media for an oral history project. Marion Churchill tells of the promotion of a library for the prison system and her experience asking the legislature for funding. Ray Everett was a strong advocate for Oregon's vote by mail, and Meredith Sheehy highlighted the social benefits and interest groups. Other life members who tell their stories in the Oral History Project are Joe Bateman, who recalled early days of the Head Start program, Gloria Martin, who became a political activist, Haroldine Schwartz appreciated the cultural diversity and affairs that were embraced by AAUW. For years, she has maintained historic documents of Salem branch, which have recently been transferred to the archives at the Mark Hatfield Library at Willamette University. Joanne Stern served in many leadership roles and was leader in the movement to establish kindergartens in Oregon. Carol Niger achieved a record-setting 500 Salem branch members when she was membership vice president. Currently, we have 80 members, just as a comparison. Evelyn Smith Lawrence tells you of a project with women in the prison system. We invite you to watch the YouTubes of these oral histories. Go to AAUW Salem branch website, click on the history, and then click on playlist. You can view all of these life member stories.
During a time of low activity in Salem branch, before, during, and after the pandemic, we experienced a decline in membership and activities. After longtime members Bernadine Taplin and Charlotte Holmes passed, they left sizable contributions to AAUW Salem branch, which allowed us to retain strong programs, scholarships, and activities that account for our success today. We remember Bernadine and Charlotte often for their generosity.
Fundraising has been essential for Salem branch to be able to provide awards and scholarships, programs, and projects. For many years in the 80s and 90s, we sponsored a Midsummer Night's Musicale as a fundraiser. It was held on the banks of the Mill Creek at Willamette University, usually in the month of July. A well-known musical group would provide a concert, while picnic groups of 4 would enjoy the catered baskets of gourmet food. It was a very popular, fun event. So fun, in fact, that even on the 97-degree and 100-degree days, people did not stay away. Here's a photo of members Betsy McDowell, Chris Ann Lauritsen, and Kathy Jackman. In 2007, a linden tree was planted on Willamette University campus at the time of a state convention where Salem was host. It is located south of Lausanne Hall along Winter Street, the exact site of our founding. The mission of AAUW is to empower women and girls. So how do we do that? It does depend upon the age. For middle school girls, Expanding Your Horizons program was held at Willamette University for 27 years. A staff member at that time, Leslie Whitaker, now an AAUW member, reserved classrooms on campus for each local professional woman in a STEM career. They set up hands-on workshops that were offered to the girls. The veterinary session was always the most popular because they brought cats and dogs for the hands-on activities. Some sessions involved a field trip to a wetland or Salem Hospital. Here are some photos of a few of the approximately 20 workshops that were offered. This first one is a workshop that I gave, being a laboratorian and a microbiologist, and the girls and I are both looking at a petri dish of a bacterial growth with some antimicrobial discs. We had many other workshops. One was forensics, another math with using origami. There was a nursing, also another healthcare, and we also had an architectural workshop that I don't have a picture of, but it was always very fascinating too. For high school age girls, Salem Branch sponsored a speech contest. It was held at Chemeketa campus during Women's History Month, so a theme for speeches often related to significant women in history. The project aimed at empowering girls by developing public speaking skills. For college girls, we have Start Smart workshops. And these workshops aimed at helping college women build skills and confidence to negotiate salaries, especially for their first job. Pay equity is an important part of women's long-term economic security. Classes are given each year by AAUW members for graduating Willamette seniors and students in the Atkinson School of Administration. Salem Branch sponsors college students each year to attend the National Conference for College Women Student Leaders, NCWSL for short, It is held at the University of Maryland near Washington, D.C. We try to schedule flights so that the girls would be able to tour the city while they're there. It is a leadership development and networking opportunity. Recent recipients of Nick Whistle scholarships from Willamette University are Lillian Hubble, who's pictured on the far right of the left photograph, along with the recipients of all the Oregon attendees at Nick Whistle in 2024. On the right is the 2025 recipient, Grace Rahu, who came to us from West Africa. Both girls reported that it was a life-changing experience. Salem branch has awarded a scholarship to the outstanding graduate of a STEM field for many years at Schenectady Community College. In this photo is recipient Adeline Fay, who is completing a nursing program with plans to attend Linfield University for her bachelor's degree. Scholarships were awarded at Willamette University years ago. Joanne Stern here is pictured with a Willamette awardee. Joanne is retired from Chemeketa staff, where she actually established the Chemeketa Scholarship awarded by Salem Branch each year. Well, there are different ways to empower women. Here are some examples of support for women giving during times of inequity. When a woman experiences discrimination, AAUW has a legal advocacy fund which can support them in a lawsuit case. Lily Ledbetter sued Goodyear Tire Company in Alabama for equal pay in 2003. AAUW contributed to funds during this lawsuit. Even though Lily did not win in her case, because of the time that lapsed between her employment and the time the case was filed, she dedicated the rest of her life as an equal pay activist. The photo on the left here is of Lily and Dolores Mlinarczyk, taken at an AAUW Oregon, Washington bi-state convention where Lily was the keynote speaker in 2011. Read about Lily's story in her book, Grace and Grit. Or, better yet, watch the Netflix movie, which is streaming right now with the title Lily. Lily attended President Obama's signing of the Lilly Ledbetter Fair Pay Restoration Act in 2009. Another woman closer at home that was supported by AAUW is Vicki Dugan. She was a softball coach at Oregon State University from 1988 to 1994. She was then replaced by a male coach. Vicki filed a gender discrimination lawsuit. Besides the financial support provided by AAUW during the long proceedings, she received moral support from AAUW members who filed into the courtroom during trial. They provided board and room for her while she was in Eugene for the trial. She was awarded $1.28 million by the 8-member federal jury. She was able to continue coaching at a college in California, which is not always the case when a woman files this way. Often she loses her career. Vicki is now a member of Porterville College Athletic Hall of Fame and Osborne County Hall of Fame. We can empower women by recognition, often with an event during Women's History Month in March. Salem branch member Gloria Holland produced a number of Readers Theater plays, which were featured at multiple locations in our community. One was after the centennial of women's suffrage in Oregon. Another was a few years later, Breaking Through Barriers, celebrating the unsung heroes of STEM, to call attention to women with accomplishments that were heroic, but not necessarily recognized in history books. Sometimes she enrolled members from the event's organization to be the cast members. Gloria continues to produce Readers Theaters, her most recent being a celebration of all 21 branches of AAUW Oregon at the state meeting last April. Rosie the Riveters were honored during Women's History Month in Salem in 2016. Many daughters of the Rosies, called Rosebuds, attended also. A few Rosies told their stories of being welders during the war. Actually, 310,000 women were working these jobs in 1943, 65% of the workforce. The poster that evolved, "We Can Do It," symbolizes strength, perseverance, and equality. A more recent event to recognize women was She's Speaking Live, a concert of 8 women coordinated by Kristen Granger, a local well-known musician. They presented at Laux Auditorium in March of 2021, calling attention to the women musicians in Oregon who wrote songs about remarkable women historically like Ruth Bader Ginsburg and Jane Goodall. Salem Branch was a presenting sponsor of the concert, and there was standing room only. Now we will switch to advocacy, where education is one of AAUW's highest priorities. For 58 years, AAUW Branch advocated for kindergartens to be required in public schools in the state of Oregon. Because the progress was so slow, AAUW founded in about 1960 a parent cooperative called Happy Time Nursery Kindergarten, which was operated for decades. Continuing their advocacy for state support, Salem branch members were very involved in introducing bills, visiting legislators, providing testimonies, until the law was passed in 1981, requiring Oregon public kindergarten. It was enforced 10 years later in 1991. Teachers reported that it made a huge difference having this preparation for first grade classes. Paul Evans introduced the bill to require civics class in public high school many times to the Oregon legislature. With advocates like AAUW and League of Women Voters, it became law in 2021 and was implemented in 2024. So now all high school juniors are required to pass the civics class. It is a requirement for graduation. The photo shows here AAUW members reviewing the textbooks used to teach the civics classes. They reported that the books were acceptable. AAUW is a strong advocate of Title IX legislation, which prohibits gender discrimination in sports, as well as sexual harassment or violence in the schools receiving federal assistance. A few years ago, AAUW members visited every school district in the state to assure receipt of updated information and to assure that there was a responsible Title IX overseer in that district. AAUW also advocated for an increase in the Oregon Department of Education staffing to enforce Title IX, and the department gained funding for one more position at that time. Pay equity continues to be a concern, and here's why. National AAUW has a strong research department, and their statistics reveal the status of equal pay nationwide. In this diagram, using 2024 data, women's earnings are divided into racial and ethnic groups. The colored capule levels represent the percentage that that group earns in comparison to a white, non-Hispanic man earns at the same job. For every $1 earned by men, the purple, representing all women, earned 83 cents. The blue, representing Black women, earned 66 cents. The green, representing Native American women, 58 cents. The yellow, representing Latino and Hispanic women, 58 cents. Still a long way to go to attain equal pay. This slide features a bake sale at Western Oregon University, calling attention to unequal pay. The baked item for women was 75 cents. The man had to pay $1. The equal pay date symbolizes how far into the year a woman must work to earn what a man earned in the previous year. In 2025, the equal pay date was March 25th. It is predicted to be in early March in 2026, a very slight gain. The bill for equal pay was successful with the passage of Oregon's Equal Pay Act of 2017. It became enforceable in 2019. Salem branch members testified in favor of the bill. After passage, members distributed information to both employers and employees to enhance the understanding of the law. At a regional meeting of AAUW in Bend, Oregon, the two senators who sponsored the bill, Kathleen Taylor and Tim Knope, were celebrated for this victory. It was because of their hard work and their passionate plea for passage that the vote passed 100%. Salem branch members participate in demonstrations and marches to make known their advocacy. In the center photo is Trish Garner on the left, a leader in public policy and a lobbyist in AAUW Oregon, with Peggy Shippen, in their support for Oregon's workplace age discrimination law of 2025. A fun annual event is the Pink Walk, a way to participate in breast cancer awareness and to raise funds for early detection services for underserved women in Marion and Polk counties. Salem members worked continually on the promotion of vote by mail. We've mentioned Ray Everett before, who was a strong leader in this advocacy until it was accepted in Oregon. Ray was so passionate about voting that when she met a new person and learned their name, her first question was, "Are you a registered voter?" In the 1980s, a few times vote by mail was used for local and special elections. Then by 1993, vote by mail was used for special statewide elections. And in 1995, vote by mail was used for primary and general elections, and it remains so today. We certainly hope that we can keep it. AAUW has collaborated for years with League of Women Voters, and it was a delight in recent times to volunteer at the children's voting booth at the art fair. Parents were provided with voting information. This year, the children voted on their favorite animal. It was my first year to volunteer, and the first child voter was a boy who came out of the booth saying, "None of these animals are my favorite." Well, they had no option to write write-ins. The reason that they didn't set it up that way is so that when the children got home, they could look online to see how their candidate fared. But perhaps League of Women Voters will consider a write-in next year. Other collaborations with League of Women Voters include candidate forums and interviewing candidates that are running for office, Women's History Month, celebrating women's suffrage centennial at a Deepwood tea together, joint meetings with topics that relate to both of our missions. Now, some other community connections are AAUW participated in Juneteenth celebration of diversity and social justice in the Salem community for the first time this year. Kathleen Fish was founder of World Beat Festival, which is staged at our Riverfront Park in Salem, and she founded this in 1998. She recently presented the history of this festival, and we loved her idea to foster unity and celebrate diversity and inclusion in Salem, which is made up of many ethnic groups of people. We are hostesses for the performers and volunteers for lunch and snacks in the hospitality tent. When these two girls that you see on the right entered the tent, and I asked to take their photo, they immediately posed in this way. Such a surprise and a delight. We help to sponsor the Peace Lecture at Willamette University and Chemeketa Community College in October each year. 2025 was the 35th year for this event, where a Peace Award recognizes a deserving local citizen. Although I was unable to trace history, Dorothy Patch, an AAUW member, would have been a candidate to be peacemaker. She was a peace and human rights activist. She founded the United Nations Association in Salem, and she was founder of Salem Speaks Up, celebrating Human Rights Day. AAUW Salem branch has been a co-sponsor for this event each year, advocating for social justice. Well, here is that linden tree again, 19 years after its dedication, being hugged by Dolores Mlinarczyk. Trees have become super important in this time of climate change. Peggy Shippen is the creator of one of the most favorite projects of AAUW Salem branch that involves trees, and she is here to tell you about it.
Thank you, Joyce. Salem, Oregon is a charter member of the Tree City USA program and was designated as such as its first order of business by the Arbor Foundation when it was founded in 1976. Since then, Salem has received multiple Tree City USA Growth Awards. Knowing this in retrospect even, it seems fitting the AAUW Salem branch would eventually come around to embarking on a tree planting project. The story began during my tenure as Salem Branch Public Policy Chair. AAUW of Oregon challenged Oregon branches to support a local public policy program. We asked our members for suggestions. 85% of our members said they really wanted to do something to improve the environment. In 2021, the city of Salem was in the midst of passing the Salem Climate Action Plan. We advocated for its passage with letters and going to the city council meeting, and it passed easily in February 2022. But I knew this was not enough to satisfy our members. They wanted to do something. I scrolled through the plan, looking for an activity that possibly our members might be inspired to do and were able to do. I stopped when I got to the page about tree planting. I thought, wow, many of our members are gardeners and they love trees. Personally, I was immediately taken back to my tree planting days as a Girl Scout. But that was many years ago when we were all so much younger. I knew our members would be excited but wary with all the work that's involved in tree planting. Clearly, there were some obvious hurdles. I called the City of Salem Parks Recreation and set up a meeting with Mylan Davis, our urban planner. A few of his staff attended, and I brought along a small group of hopeful AAUW members, Joyce Zook, Master Gardener, and Laura Buell, who was also very knowledgeable about trees. We described to Mylan what we wanted to do, what we could do physically, and what we needed to do for our AAUW objectives. Mylan and his staff absolutely blew us away with what they could do to make this happen. They secured a tax-deductible donation fund specifically for planting trees in an agreed-upon site. They said they would purchase the trees and take them to the planting site, provide equipment and training, and care for the trees year-round. And the city said that they would plant 5 trees for every 5 trees we planted at about $100 a tree. Both of us wanted a grove of native trees and foliage. and we wanted to provide an educational experience for students. All our members really had to do was raise the money and help plant the trees. Well, this was certainly looking very doable. Parks recommended Stevens Yoshikai Park for these reasons. It sits in the corner of a soccer field, which is close to a wildlife corridor, which you hear with the little circle. Native plants there would have a better chance of surviving because they would hook into that wildlife corridor. The soccer field is between two schools, and the area generally is in dire need of a tree crown. We all agreed this setting was ideal. We had Mylan come to a branch meeting to introduce the joint project. Joyce learned about a new Willamette University seedling program run by Ella Davis and Riley Forth, Willamette University environmental science students. Ella explained they were growing oaks from acorns and had nurtured 800 saplings on campus. They proposed that the city purchase their seedlings for Salem Parks projects like ours. Mylan approved the collaboration on the spot, and AAUW branch members approved raising money to plant trees in Stevens Yoshikai Park. By March 2023, Salem branch members had raised over $3,500. Donors giving $100 or more would have their name on a plaque, and Parks and Recreation made and distributed a flyer for our first planting on April 21st, 2023. At the first planting, city councilors Mickey Varney and Vanessa Nordyke, both AAUW members also, and Salem AAUW president at the time, Claudia Carmichael, spoke in honor of Earth Day. Donors were thanked and the plaque was unveiled. Kathy Mentrum, the Northgate Neighborhood Association secretary, read a poem that she had previously written called Hello Tree. The planting began at 9:30. It was chilly and a bit rainy, but by noon the clouds had parted. We had so much fun watching tree after tree being planted into the previously barren ground. By noon, we had planted 35 trees. Mylan said he never saw a group plant so many trees so fast. The second year of the tree planting in April 2024, we saw the previous year's trees in bloom. They are a mix of native Oregon white oaks, ponderosa pines, dogwoods, cascaras, Pacific crabapples, vine maples, and big leaf maples. By noon, we had planted 33 trees. Stevens Yoshikai Park now had 68 trees. The third year of our planting, in April 2025, we involved the 6th grade students from Stevens Middle School. First, they participated in the pre-planting program by honoring the Kalapuya people who were the first to live on the school land. And Adam Stevens, an early pioneer who donated land for the original Stevens School, along with the lumber to build it. AAUW member Mickey Varney, fisheries and environmentalist specialist, talked to the students about the connection between fish and trees. Mylan Davis and his very, very special tree planting crew showed students how to plant trees, many for the first time, while their teacher, Dina Turner, whose back you see here on the left, watched with total joy. We planted another 33 trees for a grand total now of 101 trees. After the event, I received this thank you sticky note poster from the Stevens students. All wrote, "I really had fun planting the trees." One said, "I never planted a tree before." And another one said, "I look forward to returning." Our plans for the April 2026 planting include adding foliage, a park bench, and a wood chip walkway, both from a grant petitioned by neighbors under the leadership of AAUW Salem branch member Pamela Lindley and Kathy Mentrum, Northgate Neighborhood Association Secretary. Amazingly, this year's tree planting coincides with the Arbor Foundation's designation of 50 years of Salem as a Tree City USA. City Parks and Recreations is planning a citywide celebration, with one event being held at Stevens Yoshikai Park. Students and neighbors and AAUW will be involved. The celebration and tree planting will be at Stevens Yoshikai Park on April 24th, 2026. Mickey Varney, AAUW Salem branch member and city councilor, and Juliana Douglas, Salem Climate Action Plan manager, attended the 2025 Leaders Forum in Rio de Janeiro, Brazil in November 2025. They, along with 2,000 other leaders selected from cities all around the world, came to discuss climate action progress at local levels and to set goals for the coming year. Hearing Mickey talk about her trip made Salem branch members feel their tree planting efforts were part of a worldwide community of local groups, and they are truly making a difference for our climate and environment. We hope you have enjoyed hearing about some of the many ways AAUW Salem branch members have worked to make a difference in our community and our world for many years. We thank you for all you are doing to continue the legacy of Salem branch and by advocating for equity and empowering women and girls. Thank you.